Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Sport. And in this video, we're going to talk about last weekend's Premier League. Specifically, though, we got to start off with the big game of the weekend. It was, well, in a way, early days, title race contenders, Everton and Liverpool, which I never thought I'd say that, but it's early days. It ended 2-2 at Goodison Park, and, wow, so much happened. Van Dijk gets injured. Jordan Pickford should have probably been sent off. It should have been a penalty as well, perhaps, for Liverpool. And then, of course, we'll talk about the last minute where there was a goal for Liverpool, but apparently it was offside by basically a tic-tac, it looked like. But anyway, Joe, let's start off with you. You're a Liverpool fan. Joe, we've heard about some of your thoughts throughout the weekend in our group chat. Let's hear it here. How do you feel? Because, I mean, for Liverpool, they look the better team for me. I think they probably deserved the 3 points. So for you, it's definitely 2 points lost.
I feel robbed. I feel absolutely robbed. It was appalling, abhorrent refereeing. And this is coming from a guy that's both played the game and refereed the game. And I'm sorry, but I'm an advocate of VAR. If you go back through the channel, you'll see a video that we did, was about a year or two ago, where we asked for, we talked about VAR. It was after the Charlie Austin incident in Southampton. And I said that VAR needs to be brought in. And it's not the VAR, it's not the system that's the problem. It's the incompetence of the referees behind it in using it. Michael Oliver, when the incident happened with Van Dijk, was looking right at the incident. He was looking right at it, and somehow he chose not to do a decision. Fair enough. That's his choice as a referee if he doesn't think it's foul. But that's where VAR should be taking a look. Now, the FA contradicted themselves over the weekend because on Saturday they said it wasn't looked at by VAR. This morning, they said they can't retrospectively take action against Pickford because they did look at it. So they need to make their mind up. Did they look at it or did they not look at it? Because if they looked at it, and which they say they did now, okay, they can't take retrospective action. But on Saturday, they said they didn't look at it through VAR. So they should be taking retrospective action. But either way, referees don't get held to account for their mistakes. And I'm going to go off on a massive rant here and stuff because I'm more bothered about the injury to Van Dijk than the offside goal. And the offside call, I think, was wrong, but it's marginal. These things happen in football, whether it's used through VAR or just normally without the use of technology. These things happen with the offsides. But with the tackle, you do not go into a challenge like that, period. You don't go that high off the ground and scissor tackle without the intent. I don't care what anyone says about Pickford saying that he does not have the intent to injure Van Dijk. You do not go into a challenge as someone that has refereed and played the game. You do not go into a challenge like that unless you intend to injure your opponent. I don't care what anyone says to me. That is the truth there because you do not. He had no chance of getting the ball. He didn't make any contact with the ball and he's injured a player. And the player's out. But now I was talking to someone today who watches rugby, and he said that's where the football is wrong because there should be a panel like they have in the rugby league where you get rugby union where you get cited for the tackle, and then you're on review and you have to be pulled up against the board and have to explain yourself, and then you get potentially punished. And for VAR to do nothing, and what's probably going to happen now is David Coote will do the Leeds Wolves match on Monday night, which is when we're filming this video. And then he'll probably get put on 2 weeks holiday or something like that because I know that's how that process works. They get telling off and then won't do a couple of games for a couple of weeks and he'll come back as if nothing ever happened. And I think that is why the standard of refereeing in England is so poor because the referees are not held to account for what they do. Whereas in Europe, the referee would be demoted a couple of leagues and have to go up and work his way back up again. It's not good enough, and he's got history, and Pickford's got history as well because he did a similar thing to Dele Alli in 2018. Rupturing his ankle ligaments, and Dele's never been the same player since.
Luke,
so it's a bit of a worry.
I mean, Luke, because of that tackle, Van Dijk could be out for a very good while, and that obviously means Liverpool's chances of the title would be, well, very difficult, you could say. I mean, how do you feel, Luke? Because let's talk about the offside. I mean, it wasn't offside, was it? I know VAR was checked, so technically it's right, but it doesn't seem
marginal.
Right.
Because I was watching that game, I was like, that's not offside. And then I thought, that is not offside. That was such a tight call. And I think that's the thing that annoyed me the most, because I thought Michael Oliver was going to blow for a penalty. and then they go, "Oh no, it's offside." But the fact they didn't go and check for the red card, I thought was like a horrendous call. I'm actually a fan of VAR. If it's used correctly, then it's great. But the thing is, it's not being used correctly. Like, there's like a pitch side monitor.
Just doesn't seem consistent.
I've seen a ref use it once to go and look at the decision. If it's offside, no penalty, no, can live with that because it's part of the game. But the fact that he's not being booked is a disgrace. And as Joe said, he has had previous of doing this. And I think Pickford's come under a lot of stick because he's now been found out at international level that, Pickford starts for England because he does, he's had solid performances for England. Yeah, that's not the case now because now his Everton form is creeping into his England form. And I feel like he had to, make a statement, do something big, massive in the Merseyside Derby. And in the end, it's probably crocked Van Dijk out for at least a year because there's no way he's coming back this season. I know Liverpool have said that, they're not going to rule him out for this season. But for me, I'd rule him out this season. Let's not put any more pressure on him to try and come back in 6 months. I'd rather him miss the season, miss the Euros, and come back for pre-season next year, fit and firing. My only worry is the club's going to force Alisson back quicker because they're going to need him because chocolate wrists in goal for Liverpool didn't cover himself in glory yet again. Yet again, he didn't cover himself in glory with the header and with the second goal. So I just hope Liverpool don't think, we got to put Alisson back now. Yeah. I just hope Liverpool let him take his time. We're just going to have to weather the storm. It's just unfortunate now we've got 2 injury-prone centre-halves now, and apparently Matip's had a scan today because he had some discomfort in his leg.
Oh,
so, yeah,
it's good times. Good times for Liverpool. Seb, let's talk about Everton. I think for Everton, if Pickford had been sent off, he wouldn't have made that incredible save in the second half with that header, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin doing it again. For me, Seb, that's a great result for Everton under the circumstances.
Under the circumstances, yes, it's a great result, especially the fact that I think Liverpool refound their control in the game. I like the way Liverpool, they just basically pinned Decore and Gomez and thought, this is how we're going to play, and then hit it long to Calvert-Lewin. Gomez is weak in the air, so we'll just pin it up to him. And also, Richarlison will be a big miss. The red card is a big one. Because Everton don't have strength and depth up front. If you look at Calvert-Lewin, the next one in line up front is Tosin, and he's still out for a long period. They've got no one else. They sent Keane off to PSG.
And you said this last week.
Beside the fact, exactly, yeah. But beside that, I want to come back to what Joe said about the wanting to injure. I don't know whether Jordan Pickford wanted to or not injure Van Dijk, but the type of save he was trying to come out to the ball and do some sort of butterfly save, like you're doing ice hockey. He's that style of goalkeeper.
Spider,
agile, not big, but exactly. That's the kind of thing he was doing. So I don't exactly want to say that he was trying to injure Van Dijk. It was reckless, yes, but he wasn't going to injure him specifically. He could have been trying to make himself big so that when Van Dijk shoots, he stops it. But it was reckless and it should have been a red. I'm going to say that right now. I think Liverpool can take a lot of positives, but Matip and Gomez at the back, that is frightening.
Shaky.
Never started a league game together. They've never started a league game together.
No, those two. That's true, but I'm also a bit frightened by Fabinho. I like Fabinho. I think he's a very polyvalent player who can play in multiple different positions, but he seemed to be lost when he was in that midfield further back than Thiago and Henderson, because the balls were going flying through to Gomez, and then he couldn't recuperate in that position. The second half, they put Thiago in that position, and Liverpool controlled the game a lot more, which I actually liked. But then Fabinho still looked like he didn't know what to do on the pitch. So I'm worried, does Fabinho know how to play with Thiago in midfield? Should he go at the back? But at the same time, he was terrible at the back at Aston Villa. So I think there is a lot of worry for Liverpool fans, but it was nice to see that they're back in control of a game. That's
The thing is, the whole team was bad against Villa. The whole team was bad against Villa.
That's worrying. And I want to also come back to the Alisson thing. Alisson's one of Liverpool's most important players, yes. But if we're looking at the second half of the season from lockdown, he made a total of 13 saves from 28 shots. Kepa made 15 from 31. So Alisson's stats weren't that much better than Kepa's. So, no, but just to put it into context, Alisson is important, but he isn't as important as Van Dijk. So I can see that being a problem for Liverpool. Van Dijk being injured, of course, hinders their title chances. Doesn't mean they're not favourites, but it hinders it.
Tell you what, a quick one, lads, to wrap up this Liverpool topic. Joe, starting off with you, do you think Liverpool can still win the title without Van Dijk?
Of course they can still win the title. They've still got a strong enough squad. They just need to sort. Obviously, I said last week they need to sort out the defensive issues. Obviously, Van Dijk being injured has put an even bigger dent in that problem. But more than capable, I won't be surprised to see us change the system a little bit. We could play multiple systems, and I won't be surprised to see us revert back to the 4-2-3-1 that we've used before to give the extra protection to the back two of Matip or Gomez or Fabinho and Gomez, whoever it is. And I wouldn't be surprised, possibly looking at signing a centre-back in January, depending on...
And it's 2 months away.
But I think we'll weather the storm, and we'll be in the mix come the end of December, and hopefully we'll be up there at the end of the season. I'm confident we can, but it all depends on, obviously, other players, if they get injured in the squad and how that impacts us. But I'm confident at the moment, still.
I'd be worried for multiple reasons. I mean, it was one thing saying that Liverpool play a line that's too high and they get caught in behind. But then they showed against Everton that another of their weakness is their aerial dominance. So
I thought Matip did all right in the air.
Matip was all right, but Gomez is atrocious. That's calvert-lewin could see that and purposely went on to Gomez. But if that's a weakness, and Alexander-Arnold, Richarlison bullied Alexander-Arnold. So if they can't really defend in the air, they can't really defend in behind, how exactly can they defend right now? And how can you win a title when you've conceded as many goals as West Brom?
Attack B defence. That's what it's going to be. Attack B defence.
But then Firmino's quiet, so Salah can go missing in games.
Yeah, but Firmino's not in the squad to score goals. So Firmino's the player that links the play.
More at the moment.
Go on, Joe.
But he's not bringing more at the moment. He's not bringing more at the moment. I agree, he's a great player, but he's not bringing anything extra to Liverpool's starting lineup at the moment.
Joe, he's been poor for nearly a year.
He's not been amazing, but he is the system. He's the first line of the press. He creates space for the other two forwards to play. He creates space for the midfielders to get. He links up.
He's not been pressing that well,
lads.
And his link-ups poor.
It was about Jota. I mean, I've liked Jota straight away so far at Liverpool.
I like Jota.
For depth, I think he's good up front. So I think he can help when needed. I think that's a great transfer. And another thing as well, Thiago could be out for a while. It's not as bad, but that doesn't help either, does it, Luke?
He'll miss Ajax. No, actually, I think Klopp said that he might be all right for Ajax, actually.
Oh, really?
So it won't surprise... Yeah.
But Thiago, you can't rely on Thiago for a whole season.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
of course not.
That's just the norm for Thiago. I think he's a great player with the ball, and I think people are overhyping it a bit. But you can't rely on Thiago for 38 matches, that's for sure.
Oh, no, definitely not. But I think, Klopp says, that tackle wasn't as bad as everyone thought. So he should be all right for Ajax. It wouldn't surprise me if he misses it out. We'll need him for Sheffield United. But I just feel like if Liverpool are going to go back to 17-18 when they knew they couldn't defend, and it's going to be heart attack football, and we might see the better Roberto Firmino, because it was 17-18 where he had his best season, and he's been awful. He's not been great. It's 1 goal in 20 games, and his assists have not been much better than that. So hopefully let the shackles off, and he might get back to form.
As I always say at the end of each video, we'll see what happens. We'll never know until we see it happen. But